So as we have evolved, we now have the grading system that you send out. Mark, if you can be so kind as to grab the devil dinosaur.
The devil dinosaur.
So here's where we're at. And unfortunately, I think we're in a downward spiral of people that are doing grading. Like that one, for example, it's graded, it costs $40-$50 to send in.
9.4.
You get the beautiful plastic that comes with it and all the grading and everything. Yeah. But it's a hassle. It doesn't fit in the boxes. They're big,
you have to buy a
they're
special.
bulky,
They make you buy a special
and
box.
nobody is grading anymore. Not only because we have all seen firsthand at different Comic-Cons and different events when they come in to grade, they abuse some of these comics. They don't care, money grab.
I think people are still grading comics, just not as a rate that they were during the
pandemic. If they're doing it, they're on a roll because it's just like a Marvel Legends or a Black Series Star Wars that you just want to put them up and shelve them.
Like this is a 9.4, but I would say if you had this for the right price, I wouldn't be surprised if someone would buy this, clean it,
take it open, and
try to send it back in and get a higher grade. Because even at 9.4, say it's a $40 comic, but at a 9.8, all of a sudden it's a $150 comic.
The ironing, whatever they're doing now, the pressing to bring the ink out and everything, it's really become an interesting science. But I think that's where it sort of eats itself. Because you Devil Dinosaur, you take it apart, you get it pressed and ironed and get all the creases out, maybe bring up some of the ink to make it look good, then you send it back. Well, congratulations. Now, if you did that twice, you're now $60 to $80 into this comic. And comics are probably one of the most fickle collecting ever. They have their ups, just like trading cards. Yeah. But I think the comics are worse because the quality of the comic and the art and the story have everything to do with the value versus a card that's just limited edition or this guy just blew up and his rookie card's now worth money.
Well, and we've talked about that before. Like limited edition, like even 5,000 is not very limited. I mean,
that's very valid.
Because it's like, okay, so there's 5,000 of these. But then, not to sound morbid, but like every time there's a huge forest fire, every time there's a flood, every time somebody's grandpa whose nephew inherited their comics went and sold them to get a sports car.
Yeah.
Or, maybe they wanted a 6-pack of beer, so they brought it to the comic book shop and got $10.
When a guy was trying to get married and he needed money.
Yeah.
And the X-Men 13 wasn't in the greatest shape. And it's not going to be because it's a 1969 comic.
And he's had it since he was a kid, probably.
And,
right?
and it's literally where Charles Xavier dies on like every page type of thing. So.
Piece of trivia for you guys.
What?
What is the most sold comic, like more issues of this comic? The number one had been sold than any other comic.
The number one, the Jim Lee X-Men?
That is right. Kudos to you, B.
Good job, dude.
But that also because it made it the 6-issue panel where they have you have to buy 6 issues to make an actual panel of it. But also what it got me thinking too, what we were talking about, the fickleness of the comic book industry, is this with all the movies, the TV shows, the speculation market has almost destroyed the comic collecting market because all of a sudden, one year, Deadpool at its highest when the first movie came out, you were getting like high 3 figures, low 4 figures for selling a 9.8. Now you can get a 9.8 for maybe like $200. $300 compared to $1,000.
Correct, and you can. It's so fickle that I would say that, like right now, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are in some hoopla. That if that goes south, then it's going to be worth a lot less.
Your universe is regenerating. Whatever you did here, you not only saved your world, you spared your timeline from extinction. I'd rest up. I have a feeling your work is only just getting started. Till you're 90.
Yeah, but also, before the movie
and then there won't be
announced,
any other movie, and he won't have any leverage to make another Deadpool.
Yeah, but people were buying it for like $1, $10. Like people will be finding the New Mutants '98 in the dollar bin, and then all of a sudden, as soon as that movie hits, or is announced, people pulling them out like and getting them graded, and then all of a sudden it was $1. Now it's worth it was worth 500, 600.
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys remember when I got the first appearance of Shang-Chi.
Yes.
And I paid what, like $13 bucks. $13.
Yeah, eBay just.
And then like 2 weeks later, it was at $150.
Because of the movie got announced,
and
right?
my buddy was like, "Why didn't you buy 10 of them?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't have any clue that they were gonna jump like that in a week, 2 weeks. I mean, you never know. Like Dazzler's Taylor Swift, all of a sudden that comic book goes through the roof. You know, Robert Downey Jr. is gonna be Doctor Doom now. So, oh my goodness, that means like the superior Iron Man comics because."
But this is what we talk about when we're talking about collecting and flipping, is that these are those minimal opportune times that pop. And if you hold too long, I guarantee you that Shang-Chi is not worth that anymore.
Oh, no.
If I had and I hope you sold it already.
No, I didn't, because I'm a hoarder.
You're a dumbass.
But,
yeah, well, you're a hoarder, too.
I'm a hoarder.
There can be both.
I mean, just wait until they make the son of Shang-Chi, and his name's Brandon Lee, and I'll sell it.
Well, there's only one Brandon Lee.
We know I'll make more than $13 for it because it definitely didn't drop below that.
No, but you'll definitely make something off of it.
Just curiosity.
So let me just while you're doing that, let me just ask you guys both a question as an epilogue. Where do you see comic books going? We've had comic books are a roller coaster, and it's not ever going to stop. You're never going to kill comics because look at Diamond's gone.
Yeah.
Diamond is gone.
Yeah, the bankrupt. I know some people that worked for Diamond. And
really?
Are they gone, or is that just a bailout?
No, they're gone.
Yeah, they did Chapter 11.
They did Chapter. They're done. They weren't doing very well anyways, but that was really surprising.
I feel like someone's going to try to make another one.
It's like the big three. Yeah.
Here's one that's going for $42 with 3 days left and 14 bits.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's still probably up around $100.
But yeah, I mean,
the movie kind of bombed. I definitely think Awkwafina killed that movie. It really hurt because I'm not a fan of her humor.
No, but not only that, but have you heard the guy that plays Shang-Chi him talk? He's such an asshole.
A mint is such a subjective thing that no one could agree on what a 10 would be. Like, but nowadays you could get a 10, like especially in trading cards, and current comic books. But it's such a funny thing where they're acknowledging that it's like you could it's possible to get a 10.
Okay. What do you see comics?
But I see
in the next 10 years.
I see it kind of on the down cycle a little bit because it's also doing the 90s thing is drowning itself in variants. People are paying $200 or more to just get a guaranteed graded CGC 9.8 comic of like a very limited issue that's coming out, but it's an alternate cover. That's the only difference. Same story inside, same artist, it's just different cover.
Mark, where do you were shaking your head?
I kind of feel like there's not new people getting into comics. Like your kid's not gonna all of a sudden be like, oh, I want to go get Avengers #1.
Yeah, but I used to think that too about Masters of the Universe, and then they reissued everything, and there's a
but
whole.
But doesn't that kind of hurt the value of the original?
No, because they sucked they went cartoons right along with them, and all the cartoons sucked. I would say if you want to go back to the 2002 or 3 one, it's not too bad.
Kids are more into games.
People,
I would say
games aren't going to go away though. Neither are comics.
Oh no, because the average comic book reader reads 4 comics a week.
How do you know that?
Because I looked it up.
Oh, you're smart.
So the average comic book reader is going to read about 4 comics a week. China and India and stuff sell way more comics than the United States. Obviously, they're in a different language. Mm-hmm. But and then there's you got collectors I got this special issue from Spain. So and there's complete
like my Batman comic.
Yeah, say you have all the Defenders. See here, you got 141. Yeah. And say you're missing 142, and even though you don't collect any, all of a sudden you run across 142, you might buy it.
Do you know why I have 141?
Because it's got the gargoyle on the cover.
And he had a broken arm at that time. No, but 140 was the crossover to Secret Wars too.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
Ooh. Yeah, which was my favorite.
Ooh, and the funny thing is, only the Beast was in the Secret Wars. None of these other guys. These guys here, and this guy here.
Valid.
This guy here was in Secret Wars, but only the Beast was in Secret Wars, and Spider-Man handed it to all the X-Men. By the way,
he did. I'm gonna disagree. I kind of agree and disagree with both of you, but I have a different take. My take is this. Comics reinvent themselves like trading cards. Start cutting pieces of the jersey and putting it on there. Autographing them in advance. You can't go wrong with one of those, right?
Until one of the stores is like, oh, we got this autograph comic and it's not even going to make it to our customers because we're just going to get it.
So here's my thing. Here's what I think is going to be the next thing. And if I'm right, then they listened to this webcast and they copied us. I think that comic books are going to expand. I think they're going to evolve. And I think it's going to include the bag and the board to be some kind of a mylar or translucent or 3D hologram, or the cardboard itself is going to have some sticker on it or something like that keeps people going. And then it's a set. You don't want to lose the cardboard. You don't want to lose the bag.
Oh, okay, so make the bag and the actual board designer.
Yep.
Okay, I get what you're saying. And that would make sense because, I mean, even trading cards now, what they did beyond the relics, the jerseys and the thing, they started going back to the legends.
Mm-hmm.
People that have been dead for years, cutting out old autograph pieces. Like they took... At one point, there's a Mickey Mantle card that has the signature. They cut out the Mickey Mantle autograph card from back in the day, and they put it on there. Like, oh, it's a relic. Now it's one of the rarest cards in the set.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Isn't that crazy? But yeah, I think that's the way to go on those because I think that's kind of for completists.
Yeah.
You're getting a whole group of people there that are going to really be looking for that. They're not going to open them. They're going to buy two.
Well, and the hype people, like
that's
the people that buy hype.
now.
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, it has been. We're those people.
I mean-
we were that first gen. You and I, Brandon's too young.
Yeah.
But
Like,
you and I were that first
there were not-
generation of.
Like,
of-
I don't
we're the
really
second
remember.
generation.
I don't really remember variants up until about the 90s.
yeah, I don't.
And
well,
that's when
Yeah.
there's 5 different covers for this same comic.
I consider the early '90s the bastard years of comics, in my opinion.
Oversaturation almost killed the market.
well, again, that was the over speculation. Like we're talking about, people were like, "I'm going to pay my kids college tuition because I saw the Superman 1 sell for that much money, but I don't have that. But I have the Death of Superman."
Yes, which
You know,
everybody
or
has
the
5
wedding,
copies.
the wedding of Superman.
Everybody has
Well,
5 copies of those.
Secret Wars is kind of what,
Oh yeah.
like, and then what's the one, Battle on Infinite Earths or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh.
The big comic crossovers kind of killed collecting for me because, I was collecting Civil War.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to get every one of these. I want all the stories, but to get the whole entire story outside of the 12 main comics, you have to buy the Defenders. You got to buy...
But you had to do that with Secret Wars. That's what I liked about it, though.
But it was only a couple issues, like maybe there was like 10 crossovers to lead into that. And it was generally people that were in Secret Wars. Where these people in Civil Wars, it was like... Who is this guy,
No,
Diablo?
House
I'm not
of-
buying
yeah.
this comic. I'm not buying
No,
Gambit's comic.
and you're right, because these are the comics that nobody was buying, so they
Well-
put crossovers on them to get some more people in there, and that's what I did when I started to, I read the Defenders after Secret Wars 2 for a while.
Well, even with Civil War and House of M, they started creating, rebooting old heroes that haven't had series in decades and being like, oh, here's a tie-in just to get the tie-in.
Right.
But so then the comic book store, this is the special variant of Star Wars. Here I have it. But to get this comic at the comic book store,
We had to buy
we had
1,000
to buy
copies.
100 copies of
Give that to
the
Brandon.
regular copy just to get that one copy. So is it even worth the comic book shops buying that? I got to buy 100 Gambits, which I have not sold an issue of Gambit in 5 years, but now I have to buy 100 issues of Gambit just so I can get the one variant.
Real quick.
Oh,
The,
this is my
the,
jam.
the
I
controversial
like
power
Is that Power Pack?
It's the one about.
Don't
Yeah.
say it, because YouTube is going through some issues right now. But
Well,
yeah.
you'll see. It says prevent. so-
Child SA.
Yeah, it doesn't say pervert, Brandon.
No, they went through everything on that one. Addiction too, and
Power
everything
Pack,
else.
there were a bunch of kids growing up.
In the 80s and 90s.
And the
so,
hard streets.
Yeah, I agree.
The guy that you brought up, Robert Bell, he was kind of guy. He was like, there's a niche for this. Like, people want to bag and board these. In fact, he started selling more in bags and boards every year, and as he got bigger, like we looked, remember, because he had to move from multiple locations because his factory was no longer big enough each time. So that shows you it went from nobody bagging and boarding to almost everybody.
And then this is where you saw the plastics get better and better, and you knew which era he was going into based on the address that was on it.
And then the older, like the younger the collector gets, like me, like I only remember as soon as I get the comic, I put it in a bag and board. Where it's like nowadays, everyone, like people will buy the bags and boards while they buy their stacks of comics.
Do you ever notice, like right here next to Brandon, it's like Cousin It? Look at that.
Moving around.
Like that.
I mean the hand. The hand.
He's dragging it away. Okay, are we good? Did we figure this out?
Yes.
All right, we've solved all of the comic book world's
look at how
problems.
Great these look though. Look at these. Look at these.
And you burped them, right? All right.
Bag and board your comics. It'll make them last longer. It helps fight silverfish.
Yeah,